Okay, so we have our bread shaped, and now it's time to put it in our proof box. I have some water boiling right here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my bread in the oven. The oven is off. We're just using it because it's a nice enclosed box to make our steam box, basically, to proof our dough. So I'm gonna put that on the top rack. If you have a gas stove, you can put the pot directly on the bottom part because it's got that shield for the flames. But this electric oven, the coils are right there, so I don't want to put the pot right on top of that. So I'm going to use the bottom rack. Alright, so I'm just going to put it in there. It's going to steam up my dough. Keep an eye on it. Don't want it to get too hot. So I'm going to leave the bread in there for probably about an hour. I want to keep an eye on it because I don't want there to be too much heat. But doing it this way should be fine. So I'll see you in about an hour. We're going to score the dough and then finally bake it off. We're going to preheat our Dutch oven and our pizza stone. So we got to make sure we move the racks in the oven for that. So see you in an hour. Okay guys, so I only have one shot at this, so I'm going to try to make it fast. What I'm going to do is I'm going to score the bread. Okay, I'm using an X-Acto knife. Normally I would use a razor blade, but I don't have any. This is a fresh blade on the X-Acto knife because I need it to be super sharp, but also I need it to be clean. Okay, so I have my oven preheated to 425 over there. I have a pizza stone and I have the Dutch oven, so I'm going to score it. I'm going to take it over there and I'm going to put the large loaf on the pizza stone. And the proofing, I'm looking for it to be kind of gassy. I would have liked to proof it longer, but honestly I should have started this bread a lot earlier. You know, we're getting past midnight over here, so time to bake some bread and go to bed. Alright, so that's why bakers get up super early. Alright, so with the scoring you can make a fun design if you want, but I'm just going to go down the middle on the baguette and do an X on the bowl. So the reason why we score the dough is so when the pan goes inside, the bread goes inside the oven, it's going to have what is called oven spring. It's going to spring up. Okay, so either we can decide where it's going to crack by scoring it, or the bread's going to decide for us and it's just going to crack wherever it wants. So we're going to make a nice pretty design on there. You can get as fancy as you want. Alright, going down here. The trick is to be do one fluid motion, okay? So this X-Acto knife isn't as sharp as I want it to be. It's kind of dragging. I don't think it's gonna work actually as well as I want it to. But we'll see how it works out. The other one, I'm just doing a giant X. Alright. I have a squirt bottle full of water. I'm going to spray the bread with this. Usually I would use like a squirt bottle you put Windex in, but I don't have one. This is a travel bottle, and just plain old tap water in here. I'm going to put the bread in and I'm going to spray it, and then I'm going to do the same with the Dutch oven and close the top of the Dutch oven. I'm not going to take the top off the Dutch oven for about 20 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna do this next part as fast as I possibly can. I'm gonna take the Dutch oven out of the oven, put it here, put my loaf in, spray it, close the lid, run it back into the oven. Okay? Not burning yourself is more important than bread, guys. Alright, I'm gonna open my oven door and throw this back in. My first bread going into the oven. Okay, I'm gonna spray it. Just a thin mist, okay? Thin mist. Real quick. It's gonna create steam. Okay, we want to hit it on that hot stone. Sorry. Okay, so we want to hit it on that hot stone. So this way, as soon as it hits the oven, it's gonna a little bit. All right. So it's actually starting to smell like bread in here. Get a little bit of color on my loaf down here. Probably should have did a time lapse of it rising. It's pretty cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the lid off the top of this one and then just let it keep cooking. Okay, so I'm gonna take off the lid real quick of the Dutch oven. Be sure not to put your face directly in this because some steam might come out. And looking pretty good. I'll put it back in. Let's finish baking. Close it up. Done. Okay, so next time you see this bread, should be out of the oven. Alright, so my bread just came out of the oven. The hardest part about making bread is not cutting it open the second it comes out of the oven. You don't want to do that because the starches in the flour gelatinize. So they need to cool down in order to become that structure you see in bread. Otherwise, you're gonna cut into it and you'll see it's just, it's like gummy almost. Anyway, it's the wee hours in the morning, so it's definitely time to go to bed. So this is probably the first and only time I won't wanna cut into the bread. And we'll talk about it more in the morning. The internal temperature of bread should be at least 190. I mean, you'll definitely see it though. It'll be you know, all one piece. It's still very hot. And also yeah, we'll just talk about it more in the morning. I'm too tired. But this bread looks pretty good for my first bread in 4 years. So this is my first bread in Florida, so the crust is a lot different than I'm used to, which is very interesting. And definitely first time baking bread in an electric oven, but we'll get into that tomorrow. All right, good night. All right, good morning, guys. So I just pulled my bread out of the oven last night, and you could tell they look two totally different breads. That's because this one was baked on a pizza stone, okay, and this one was baked in the Dutch oven. All right, so you could say this one is a lot shinier. That's because when I sprayed the bread with the water to create steam and then closed the Dutch oven, because it was an enclosed space, the bread got really a lot more steam action, whereas just spraying it on the bread didn't really work out so well. But that's okay, it's still going to taste great. It's just not such a shiny finish. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is proofing. Alright, so you could tell by the oven spraying on this bread. So where we did the scoring, it didn't really, I mean, it came up a little bit. You can see where the marks were made, but it wasn't really that big poof. Okay? That's a number of factors. Number one, probably could have proofed a lot longer, because honestly I started my bread way too late, and you know, that's why bakers get up 4 o'clock in the morning, but I started baking mine at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and honestly I should have just waited until today to start. But you know, lesson learned. So if it's afternoon, probably don't start your bread starter. Okay, or don't start making bread. A lot of that too is my learning curve with making these videos and stuff. It took a lot longer to bake bread and do that at the same time than I'm used to. So anyway, so proofing time. Also, it might have gotten a little too hot in the steam box. The pot wasn't as far down as I would have liked it to be. Creating a lot of space in between is important, because you don't want to steam your bread. You want to just introduce moisture into the oven and heat without actually turning it on. Another thing that I could have done, and you can do it at home if you have enough space in your refrigerator, you could proof it overnight. If you do it late like I did and bake it the next morning, you just have to worry a little bit about getting a skin on it, but it's okay. I've baked bread with a skin on it before. That's okay. You just want to make sure you score it well so you get that oven spring. Especially in Florida, you know, the crust is a little different, so with the water content up north with that higher mineral content, you're probably gonna have, if it had a skin on it, it would have been much thicker and harder to chew. So we're gonna cut into our bread. I'm gonna do this one first. Alright, we're gonna see what it looks like on the inside. Alright, I'm using a bread knife. Okay, I like a longer bread knife because when you're using a serrated knife, you're cutting with a sawing action. You don't want to cut bread by just pushing down, because it's going to squish your bread. So you want to saw back and forth, and you get a nice cut. So I'm just going to cut it right in half. We got a really nice crumb on that. Ooh, that's not it. Okay. Good. Got a pretty good crumb on that for our first bread. This is gonna make some awesome sandwiches. Okay. Let's cut open the other one. So this one, because it was in the Dutch oven too, I noticed it didn't get as brown on the bottom as I would have liked. So I guess I could take it out next time to finish it off. But it still looks very good. The same on this one too. It's set up very nicely. Looks great. So all that's left is to eat it. Alright, it's pretty dense. As we keep going, we're gonna get a bigger crumb. A lot of this again is proofing time. It's definitely underproofed because it doesn't have as many big air holes as I would have liked. And also because the air holes are just kind of like at the top. But for the most part, it's gonna taste good. I don't like too many big holes in my bread anyway because it makes it kind of hard to make a sandwich. Everything just kind of falls through. So, just gonna eat it. Okay, so now all that's left is to try my bread. Mm. It's still not that sour as you would think like a sourdough would be, but that's because it's a 3-day-old mom. So as mom gets older, she'll get funkier. As most moms do. So it's gonna add even more depth to our bread. So see you next time. Enjoy. If you have any more questions, let me know. And see you later.